And we have come to my personal favorite, the QTable widget. I've used it many times and it's incredibly useful, although I do have to admit that I have a love-hate relationship with it. Why? Well, it's a long story, but if you're really interested, let me know in comments and I'll tell you. Anyway, enough of my rambling. I already did some work here. As you can see, I stretched out our QTab widget and got rid of the QLabel and the QLine edit we had. And to get to the QTable widget, let's just search for table in the widget box. And we're presented with two widgets. One is table view and one is table widget. I'll explain the difference in just a second, but make sure to select the table widget and add it to our application. So let's resize it a little bit so that it fits our application nicely. What is a table widget exactly? Well, as its name says, it presents some data, such as some text, in a tabular fashion. It's divided in rows and columns, like a table, and it's incredibly useful when working with some data sets. But not just data sets. If we look at Qt Designer, our action editor here at the bottom right seems to be a QTable widget in itself. One Windows application that comes to my mind that uses a tabular view is uTorrent or microtorrent. When you're downloading a file, for example, you see the data such as current speed, progress, file name, etc. presented in a tabular fashion. But what's the difference between table widget and table view? Well, traditionally, a widget is something that the user can interact with. For example, the table widget specifically can be made such that the user can edit each individual table cell or table item and then save changes to it. The table view, on the other hand, is more of a presenter, hence the name view. It's going to load up some data from a model and then just present it to the user. They largely have a very similar API, but I think table widget is more fun, so we'll focus on that one. QTable widget and its parent widgets or classes have a lot, and I mean a lot of properties listed here in the property editor. But what we're going to do first is add some columns, some rows, and some items to our QTable widget. To do that, just right-click on the QTable widget and select Edit Items. Now I'm going to add 3 columns, and to do that I can just click this plus sign at the bottom. And the first one is going to be, say, name. Second one is going to be Twitter. And the last one, let's make it nice guy. We're also going to add one row with just, let's say, 1 as the first row. This will allow us to add an item, and I'm going to add myself, so this is the name, and this is one of the hate part of the relationship. See, this didn't really update itself, the text. So we know that this is the name. I'm just going to add Bo here. The second one is my Twitter handler. I'm just going to add Python Bo. And the last one is nice guy, so of course I'm going to add something like yeah. Let's hit OK and see what happens. And we have our items in the table widget. Well, that's cool, but it's not really exciting. Where QTable widget really shines is in its item, row, or column properties. So now that we've seen what this looks like, let's open up the Edit Items dialog once again, go to our items, and the first thing I'm going to do is get rid of this yeah here for a nice guy, and you see that it updated the column and row names here. And since I'm still a nice guy, I hope, what I'm going to do is hit this properties button. And you see that just for this item here we have a bunch of properties. And the one I want is all the way at the bottom, and the property name is check state. If I change the check state from unchecked to checked, I'm going to get this checkbox. Now let's change some other properties and let's select this Twitter handler, in my case Python Bo. And by the way, feel free to follow me on Twitter if you'd like. What I would like to do here is change the text of this Python Bo to blue. So the first thing I need to do is select the color, which I can do by clicking this color property, put the 3 dots, and I'm going to select, let's see, this kind of blue here. And one more thing I need to do is change the style property as well from no brush to solid. And think of this brush as a painting brush. One more thing I would like to do is make this text bold, but before I do that, notice that this is a foreground section which is going to color the text. There's also a background section that would color this item view in itself, the background of it. We're not going to do that for now. But to make my text bold, I'm going to scroll up and find the bold property and mark it as checked. Now I'm going to hit OK, and we see that the table widget has updated itself. Let's preview our application. And voila, it looks pretty nice. And what I can do if I'd like right now is edit the name. If I just double click it, I can change my name from Bo to Bogdan, for example, which is my real name. I'll put it back to Bo. And usually your user would have some sort of a button such as save here, or you can even capture the signal to automatically save as soon as your user starts editing something. Okay, so we have our mock data in place. Let's take a look at some of these bunch of properties we have here on the right for our QTable widget and its parent classes.